ça c'est deuxième channel. Comment nous est? Comment vas-tu? How are you guys doing today? Today we're going to be doing my first voodoo story time. I want to do more of these videos on my channel because you guys always ask for them. And I'm like, you know what? I really was apprehensive because I was like, you know, get my guy ou pa parler, but get the moon yo pa connaît the power of the loi, yo pa connaît Jean loi yo get fuss. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna start telling these voodoo stories so people can understand that the law are not to be messed with, okay? The power. Okay, we gotta let them know, all right? So before we get started, make sure you guys join me if you're in the area for Philadelphia's Haitian Flag Day celebration on Saturday, May 21st. I will be hosting it and I'm so excited to be there turning up with y'all. Like, it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. I'm so happy. I can't wait. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram for updates. For today's story, we're going to be talking about how I was born and how I am my mother's only child. And I thought this would be the perfect start because I have plenty of stories, both from my family, from my friends, and just from like so many people about voodoo and how it can really fuck people over and how it can genuinely bless some people's lives. I have a couple of friends who were conceived from Haitian voodoo. I have a couple of friends who have siblings who were killed from Haitian voodoo. And there's people who, like me, were spared? I don't know. So let's get into the story. So if you guys are not aware, I am my mother's only child. However, my dad has two, but nor me or my dad talk to my sister. And that story can be found on my third channel, which is like my vlog channel. I call it like my personal diary. You guys can go check out that long-winded story. I believe part 1 is up now. Part 2 should be up soon, depending on when this video drops. Now, this is a very interesting story because I actually just found out this story because my parents never really told me about this. Actually, my mom told me about this story. And I was like, what? Now, what really actually caused me to actually look into the story was because when I did my video on this particular law, and I'm actually going to reveal it throughout this video, a lot of you guys were actually commenting some interesting things, and a lot of people actually contacted me about this particular law, and they were saying some interesting things. A lot of people have come up to me about this particular law, and they would say interesting things like, oh, you remind me of this law, you resemble this law, you wore things in your video that reminded me of this law. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's a coincidence. Like, I don't know. Like, I was just like, oh, that's cool. So one day I was talking to my mom and she divulged this story to me. And if you know anything about being Haitian, you would know that Haitian people, like when it comes to being like a child of a Haitian, they don't tell you shit until you get older. It's like the relationship shifts, okay? They go from being very like strict and they don't tell you nothing. They don't want you to know nothing. And then all of a sudden the dynamic changes and you all of a sudden become like best friends. And that's how the dynamic with my parents has been. Like now they all of a sudden want to gossip with me every day. And it's like, oh boy, like so now I'm starting to get all the family secrets and I'm like, oh, bring it on, content. You know, oh, give me the cheese man, give me the cheese man. So this is pretty interesting. Now, one thing that a lot of you guys would not know unless you're really close to me is that my mom has had numerous miscarriages before and after me. So that makes me what a lot of people would call an angel baby, a sunshine baby, and or a rainbow baby. I'm the only child to survive any of my mother's miscarriages and or stillbirths, okay? Literally, my mom has went through numerous. I'm talking about like over 7. I guarantee you it's probably up to 10. I don't remember the exact number, but I'm talking about male, females, twins, singles. Like my mom has went a lot when it comes to childbirth, and I'm the only child that has survived. We don't know why, doctors don't know why. And even when she was pregnant with me, I was not necessarily detectable in any test. Not a urine test, not a blood test, only by ultrasound. I was actually supposed to be a boy and I popped out a girl. My name was actually supposed to be Saddam. Thank God they saved me because I would have had the name of a terrorist. Oh my God. Like, ugh. And then if I was a girl, they were gonna name me Prishna, which would have been a spin off of the name of the daughter that my aunt gave my mom, because like it would have been like my mom's niece, and she still considers her a daughter, but since my mom technically couldn't like hold a child, they were like, you know what, at this point, you know, you can have mine. You know, my mom's sister was like, you can have her as your daughter since you can't carry a child. I'll give her to you. So her name was similar to that name, so they were gonna name me something similar to her name, and it would have been Prishina, and I would have been sick if my name was Prishina, because that shit sounds crazy. Do I look like a damn Prishina to you? Okay, thank God they saved me with the name Yvana. It's beautiful. Love it. All right, so it's really interesting how things played out. In the womb, I just kept hiding myself. A lot of babies do that, where you can never know the true sex of the baby. They just went with the whole narrative that I was a boy, but boom, I popped out a girl. Now, I just assumed that I just had a regular baby story. My mom just had regular fertility issues because she had fibroids. She's always said that she had fibroids. She's always said that she had really horrible periods. So I just chopped it up to that. Then recently, she told me that the reason that she couldn't ever hold a baby was because of the Lwa that my father serves. And I said, get the hell out of here. I said, don't play with me. Don't say that shit. No. She was like, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting how she allowed you to live. I don't really know why. You must be special. You must have a purpose here on earth, because every single time I got pregnant, she showed up to me, she laughed in my face, and I miscarried. I was like, come again, ma'am? I kid y'all not. I was like, what? She didn't laugh. She had this, yeah, like she was telling this story and she kept going and going, and I was just like, wait, what? Like she had the most straightest face ever. I was just like, oh my God. I said, what now? The thing about this is, when it comes to fertility issues, usually it is passed down. Usually like it could be a familiar thing. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it skips. And sometimes like it does have like a name. And I do know my mom has fibroids, but no one was ever able to explain what my mom really had or what issues my mom really had. And my mom never got her fibroids removed, but even at that, like they never were able to explain why my mom could never hold these babies. They would just die. She would just have these miscarriages, she would have these stillbirths, and it'd be like, yeah, I'm very sorry. And that would be that. I also kept telling her not to have kids as a child. I will tell you this right now, I never wanted siblings. That sounds very harsh, but I will say that with my background, if you guys have watched my videos, I will link them down below, but I've had so many times where my parents could not pay rent, did not pay electricity, literally could not afford to live and have me. So I was like, please do not have more kids, because not only do I not care to watch them, but like you guys could barely take care of me. There's no point. You know, I had plenty of kids in the building where I was living, and like we also lived in a very dangerous neighborhood. I was like very paranoid to have other kids that I had to watch over. So I was like, I really didn't care to have any siblings. If anything, I always wanted an older brother, but like it's kind of too late for that now. So I was like, yeah, I don't care to have any more siblings. But you know, my parents still kept trying anyway, and each kid they had after me also passed away. So when my mom was telling me the story, like, yeah, you know, every single time I got pregnant, this Lwa appeared to me, and she laughed at me, and she would look at me like, oh, gadilel, which means, oh, look at her. She must think she's cute. She must think she the shit. She must think that she about something, and the baby would die straight up with no type of repercussions, no warning, no nothing. And I was just shook, because I've heard of this happening to people, especially with this particular Lwa, because this particular Lwa is very jealous and has very strict rules when it comes to people who serve her. If you do not follow her rules and you do not follow them strictly, if you do not follow her days that she sanctions you to do certain things, she will make your life a living hell. She will also strike your partner with infertility. That's what she does. So I was just like, oh my Lord, like this is interesting shit. And it's crazy because she didn't even tell me who the Lwa was. I automatically knew. I had just did my video on this particular Lwa. And I was like, oh, is it this Lwa? And she was like, how'd you know? I said, something just told me it was this Lwa. Something just told me it was this Lwa. Mind you, I didn't even know my father served this Lwa yet. Something just told me, it was something inside me that just told me it's that Lwa. And I know, like, just from just the characteristics, because not only does my dad practice voodoo, I did study Haitian literature in college. I have other people in my family that practice. I try to, you know, get well versed from other people. So I was like, I know exactly who this is. It has to be this person, because she the only one that be doing this goofy. Okay, she be doing goofy shit, hey, I'm being respectful as I can, but that's very goofy. I'm sorry. Killing my siblings like that, you're doing a lot. Okay, so it was interesting. So she's like, yeah, you know, there was one particular time where, you know, like I was laying in bed and I had these boys. So what's interesting, right? There was one time where my mom had a tumor. It was non-cancerous, but it was very scary. She had a tumor in the back of her head. It was a big lump. It was kind of like the size of a golf ball, and she had to get it removed. I was probably like 11. I was young. I don't remember how old I was, but I know I was young. I was definitely like maybe elementary school though. I don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember age, but I was young. And she had to go get it removed, and she was also pregnant at the same time. And they told her that the kid would be born with Down syndrome. So she got like an abortion at the same time, because my dad said he doesn't want to deal with any kids that have disabilities. Honestly, the words were which is really fucked up. In other words, he doesn't want to have any retarded children. Excuse my language. Very ignorant and very fucked up, but if you're Haitian, you already know Haitians would say it, and he said that shit, and he didn't give no fucks. So the child was aborted. It was very, very sad. And my mom told me days before that, she popped up per usual and was like, ha ha ha, you think you about to have this kid? I think not. Ha, literally. Next day they had that surgery. I believe that's around the time when they told her straight up, yeah, the kid is gonna most likely born with Down syndrome. They aborted it. And I'm like, that's mad weird. The other ones were just, you know, like miscarriages, like at work, miscarriages in the home and stuff like that. And then the weird, crazy one was when she had a stillborn. Now, these were 2 stillborns. She had twin boys that she was carrying. I don't know why they didn't tell me about this, probably because I was very laisa, which means like I was jealous and I didn't want no damn kids in the house. Like I said, I didn't want no siblings, so I guess they just didn't tell me. But she was pregnant with 2 boys and she was about to give birth, but I think it was like early, because I believe, or don't they say like most twins are born early or something like that? So I think she was like maybe 7 or 8 months or something like that, and she was coming home and she like put the key in the door and like her water broke. So they rushed her to the hospital and the babies were born. Okay, the babies were born and everything, and they just died, crying and all. They were crying and then they just died. That night, that Lwa came to her, was like, I thought I told you not to have any kids by my man. Child, I was sitting there like, well, yeah, I thought I told you not to have any more kids by my man. That's what the Lwa said. Like, listen, that's some scary shit. That's some scary. I was like, what kind of shit? I don't know what my dad done did to done piss this Lwa off, but whatever it is, I'm the only one that was allowed to live. I'm very sure this Lwa watches over me, and it's probably the only reason I'm alive. I'm very sure this Lwa, God, and my ancestors are probably my driving force for a lot of things, because there is absolutely no way. Because I was like, what kind of, like, it's weird. Now I will say my dad is not a bad person, but he does do some very shitty shit. He does not follow instruction. He owes people a lot of money because he has a very serious gambling issue, and he loves to find loopholes out of things. So I wouldn't be shocked if he did some fuck shit and the Lwa is not happy. And especially back then, it was very, very much the worst. So I'm just sitting here like, oh my God. So clearly ever since then she never really got pregnant. It was really, really sad. The babies definitely did die, and I never knew about that story. I never knew anything about that. I was way too young to even remember that. I do remember something about like people screaming in the hallway and she had to be rushed to the hospital. I thought she passed out. I don't know, but I will say that's really sad. I would have some twin brothers to boss around and like do my homework. Let me stop. That's not the point. It's really, really sad because you hear these stories and you wonder, how is this possible? How do these things happen? Why do these things happen? And what is the meaning? Well, first things first, when you serve a Lwa, you have to understand that most of the time, Lwa, like I've said numerous times before, are not inherently evil. But at the same time, they have things that they want. You're making deals with them to protect you. And in order for their protection, you have to do as they say, the way they say it. And when you are making these deals with them, you have to understand that there is no and, ifs, buts, or excuses. And if there is going to be and, ifs, buts, or excuses, you have to come speak to them about it. You can't weasel your way out of anything with these people because they're going to be very, very fucking upset. And they are spirits after all. They're not necessarily human beings. Some of them were human beings in real life, but now they are spirits that have passed on and they see and hear everything that you do. When you break promises with them, they feel highly disrespected, and they're not going to take disrespect lightly, and you will be punished for any and everything that you do. Even God punishes you for things that you do on a consistent basis when you you don't do it. You just may not see it as harshly as what a Lwa will do. A Lwa will do things 10 times worse to you than what a Lwa will do, because a Lwa is not necessarily bound to be holier than thou like God is. A Lwa is a Lwa, because a Lwa is the law at the end of the day, and you have bound yourself to that Lwa and told yourself, when you have basically committed to that Lwa, that you will abstain and uphold yourself to the law of that Lwa at the end of the day. That is what Lwa means, law. So essentially, that is what happens when you don't obey the law. I'm not going to say all the Lwa that you choose to serve a Lwa are going to kill your kids. That's a kind of a drastic case, but knowing my father and knowing all the fucked up things that he has done, I would not be shocked, and I'm not shocked that he really probably did some fuck shit. Now you guys are probably listening to this like, okay, Yvana, tell us the Lwa. If you haven't already figured out who the Lwa is, it's Erzeli. Yes, it is Erzeli. And it's interesting because when I did my video on Erzeli, like I said, a lot of people commented on my video. They're like, oh, you look like her. You know, people were contacting me personally. They, you know, people would see me. They're like, oh, you look like Erzeli. I'm like, what does Erzeli look like? I've only seen like stuff, like drawings. I'm like, I don't think I wouldn't know. She's never come to me. I know nothing, like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, thank you. I think it's a compliment. I don't know. She got a lot of husbands, so she must be gorgeous. like, you know, they're like, oh, you know, you remind me of her. And I happen to have a shirt in the video that I did of her, and it said savage on it. And people are like, that's ironic, because that's a word that's associated with Erzeli. And I'm like, now you guys are probably wondering if it's Erzeli Flida or Erzeli Dantor. I'm not going to divulge all of that information. That's for you to figure it out. Comment down below, which one do you think it is? Maybe one day I'll divulge it, but I'm not gonna divulge it. But I'm very sure you guys are probably gonna be shocked which one it is, because I was like, which one is it? So crazy enough, my mom said both of them popped up to her, and one was extremely nice and the other one was extremely brutal. One would rub her stomach and the other one would be very mean and like literally like cuss her out and be like, how dare you get pregnant by my man? And the other one would be like, oh my God, you're pregnant, I'm so happy for you. And the other one would be like, how dare you get pregnant by my man? Now you guys are like, okay, so how could Erzeli be like this when a lot of people serve her and things like this don't necessarily happen? Now comment down below if you do have a similar story or you heard a similar story. But understand, if you are going to serve Erzeli Dantor or any spirit that is like Erzeli, she has very, very strict rules on when you can sleep with your significant other. If she says you can only sleep with your significant others on Monday through Tuesday, you can only sleep with your significant other on Monday and Tuesday. That's it. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's for her. Sorry about it. Sorry about it. You cannot sleep with anybody else on the days that she says are for her. That's it. If one way or another you break that rule, you're going to have hell to pay. You promise her jewels, you promise her a prayer, you promise her a goat, I don't know, whatever the case may be, and you don't give it to her, she's gonna act like a jealous wife, okay? Because at the end of the day, Erzeli is not a regular Lwa. When you devote yourself to Erzeli, you're not necessarily devoting yourself to her like a regular Lwa. You're marrying her. You have sex with her. She is your wife. She's not your girlfriend. She's not someone you just, hey, Erzeli, what's poppin'? Let me throw you a couple bands. She's your wife. Literally your wife, and you are literally sharing her with your other wife or your other girlfriend. So whatever she says goes, and she goes above your other wife. So if she has something that she wants, if she has something that she commands, then you do that shit, or she will wreak havoc on your life. And there is no letting go of her. I don't believe you divorced Erzeli. I don't think that's a thing. I never heard of anyone doing that. Comment down below how that goes, because I would love to hear it. So I'm assuming my dad did some fuck shit. And then on top of that, my dad was juggling my sister's mom and my mom. Yeah, we could already see how that works. So, I mean, my sister was allowed to live too. So that's a really good one. But I would assume maybe my dad was not serving her at the time, because, I mean, my sister and I are 6 months apart. But who knows? I don't know when my dad started serving her. But I mean, hey, maybe my mom also had a different type of affiliation, because my mom also did used to serve, or also did have a different type of affiliation with Lwa. Lwa also did save her life when she was on her deathbed, which also would be a different story for another time. So I would assume there's also different situations with that, because some Lwa don't bang with each other. If you mess with a different Lwa, or a different Lwa done saved your life doing something, that don't mean another Lwa is gonna want to bang with you or affiliate with you. That's why you gotta be very, very careful who you date, who you whatever with, because yeah, just because you serve this Lwa and then you want to be with somebody that served that Lwa, that don't mean that's gonna mesh well. So you guys need to understand there's a lot that goes into this. And of course, you can't choose the Lwa that you serve. The Lwa gotta serve you. The Lwa has to choose you, of course. So interestingly enough, I was chosen to live. I don't necessarily know why. It's very, very scary. She's never come to me. She's never bothered me. I can't really say I feel her presence or anything. If I do, maybe I ignore it. I do have ADHD and I tend to ignore things. I'm a very realistic person. So like if she does come to me somewhere, I'll probably ignore the hell out of her ass because I'll be like, it's the wind. Like she probably do be here. I don't know. I'm very realistic. It is what it is. So comment down below. I'd love to hear your stories, your thoughts and opinions down below. Comment down below if you want to hear more stories, more voodoo stories. More voodoo stories. I feel like this was a short one. I don't know if there's anything else to really say about it. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all that. Comment down below. What do you guys think? Hit the description box for more information that you guys always ask me about in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and do all that. I will see you at Philadelphia's Haitian Flag Day Parade on the 21st. And with that being said, I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye!